Until recently, Berlin-based neuroscientist John Dylan Haynes would have rejected this idea. Then he began scanning people's brains, looking for the roots of free will. What he found made him question everything he took for granted about his life.
Humans tend to be dualists, meaning that they think that the mind and the body are to some degree independent. What modern brain scanners show is that there seems to be a one-to-one correlation between what happens in our mind and what happens in our body.
Today, John is going to scan the brain of a man named Dennis, while sets of 3 random letters flash on the screen. Dennis will respond to the letters by pressing a red button. Either right or left is up to him. The scanner will show when he decides to press the button, and a computer will record exactly when the button gets pressed.
The subject is doing the task. This is what they're seeing on the screen. So they're seeing a sequence of letters, and at some point they can freely decide to press either a left or right button, and then they have to tell us which letter was on the screen when they made up their mind. So here the subject is now seeing this letter stream. They haven't made their decision yet. Now they just made a decision, and now they have to tell us which letter was on the screen when they made up their mind.
The brain scans show that again and again, Dennis decided to push the right or left button about a second before he acted. But there's another pattern of brain activity here, unconscious activity that occurs even longer before he makes a conscious decision.
So what you can see here is brain images coming in. The decisions begin to arise here in prefrontal cortex and in this medial parietal region here. And then what happens is the information seems to stay there for a few seconds and then moves on to a supplementary motor area located here, and then from there goes into the motor cortex where it directly controls our movements. So we can see a whole cascade of processing steps. First the unconscious activity in these areas here, and then the conscious activity in these other brain areas.
Dennis is supposed to be making a random decision, but it appears that up to 10 seconds before he decides to push a button, his subconscious mind has already made its choice.
So we think, when I make my decision now, I'm free to choose one or the other alternative. But if my brain has already become active and started preparing my decision 10 seconds before, this suggests that this is an illusion, that we're making up our decision now. It's actually the brain activity leading up to this that has made the decision.
You can make decisions, but you can only choose what your unconscious already decided for you.
So we control ourselves, but we can only control ourselves in one way. That's the way in which our brain was destined to behave.
John concedes that exceptional decisions, such as whether to get married or buy a house, aren't easily tested in brain scanners. Nonetheless, he believes the experiment leads to an inescapable conclusion. We are not in control.
We have this impression when we make a decision that we're completely free to take different options. And what our experiments show is that this idea, this is an illusion. We're not free to make one or the other decision. We're already pre-programmed by our brain activity, and it's already clear what's going to happen to some degree. We're running around with an illusion.
Is free will nothing more than a fantasy?